Hello and welcome to Gus McDoll Strategy and Tactics, and thank you to our subscribers. I'm Nick McDoll. Today we're continuing the Allied Grand Campaign in Close Combat A Bridge Too Far, a game based on the Battle of Arnhem, Operation Marketgarden. In this series, we use the missions in the Allied Grand Campaign to illustrate one or more aspects of World War II infantry tactics at the company level and below. Each episode we conduct basic mission analysis, develop and analyse possible courses of action, then decide and execute the plan in real time, followed by lessons learned. Please remember to like the video and subscribe for more great strategy and tactics content. And if you want to buy me a coffee, the links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. In this episode, we're in the Nijmegen sector, in the island area of operations. Our objective is the road to Arnhem. It is day 4 of Operation Marketgarden, 1900 hours on 20 September 1944. The island. You're almost there. Use smoke and speed to gain the last objectives and press on to the bridge over the Rhine at Arnhem. The enemy is in a last-ditch defence with strong forces, so be careful but go as fast as you can. Beware of the treacherous polder fields, they cannot support the weight of your vehicles. Let's examine our forces. The infantry company is depleted after its battle in the tulip fields. Bren teams are the core of the British Army. They use a light machine gun, bolt-action rifles and hand grenades. The team leader is armed with a submachine gun. Use them on the front lines, but they should run or hide from tanks. Rifle teams use bolt-action rifles and hand grenades. The team leader is armed with a submachine gun. Use rifle teams on the front lines and to hold victory locations. They are useless against tanks. Recon teams are the eyes and ears of the British divisions. They are armed with submachine guns and grenades. Use them to scout enemy positions and to perform behind-the-lines operations. PIAT teams consist of an anti-tank bomb projector, a bolt-action rifle and hand grenades. Not as effective as the Panzerschreck, the PIAT still gives you cheap anti-tank capabilities. The PIAT's effective range is 8 to 80 metres. Next, let's examine support troops and reinforcements. The Sherman 76 is an upgunned M4A1 Sherman. The M4A3 has a 76mm main gun and two 30 caliber machine guns. Use it to destroy light and medium tanks, infantry and enemy strongholds. The Achilles is a medium tank destroyer. It is open-topped and armed with a 3-inch anti-tank gun and a 50 caliber machine gun. Use it in an ambush role against German tanks. Achilles is the British name for the American M10. Consistent with British tank doctrine, I will choose a tank lineup that replicates the capabilities of a mixed tank battalion, but on a very small scale. The Sherman is the medium tank and the Achilles is the support tank, so I will need a light tank. The Daimler 4 is a light armoured car with very thin armour. It has the 6-pounder main gun with one Vickers machine gun. Use it to scout enemy positions. 3-inch medium mortar teams also contain bolt-action rifles and hand grenades. Because mortars can shoot over obstacles, position these teams behind buildings or trees. Use them to suppress enemy infantry and lay smoke screens. Vickers medium machine gun teams also include bolt-action rifles and hand grenades. Position these teams in multi-story buildings or locations with long lines of sight so they can suppress enemy infantry while your units manoeuvre. Next, let's look at the map and do some mission analysis. I will develop a plan and then execute it in the game. Our mission is to clear the Arnhem Road in order to conduct a relief in place of airborne troops at Arnhem Bridge. We have an understrength infantry company from 30 Corps, consisting of 2 Bren sections, 3 rifle sections, a recon team and a PIAT team. In support is a Sherman 76 medium tank, an Achilles tank destroyer, a Daimler 4 armoured car, a 3-inch mortar and a Vickers medium machine gun. North is to the top left of the map. I have marked 5 areas. Number 1. The road to Arnhem. This is a raised road running roughly north-south and bisects the area. It limits observation from one side of the road to the other. It also presents an obstacle to movement as vehicles or people must crest the road, making them easy targets. A ditch runs along the eastern side, which may also slow down movement on and off the road. Number 2. The southeast. Key feature is a clump of buildings near the road, including a 2-storey stone building and a wooden mill. This building provides good observation over the polder to the north and fields of fire over the polder and the road. The buildings provide cover and concealment. There is also a dirt path running alongside a ditch, which may allow vehicle movement from the fields to the road. Number 3. The northeast. Key feature is a 3-storey building named Trapeze. This building provides unobstructed observation across the fields and along the road, and would make a good anti-tank or machine gun position. Otherwise, there is little or no cover or concealment for attacker or defender. The polder fields may present an obstacle to vehicle movement. Number 4. The southwest. Key features are the 3-storey buildings that provide overwatch on the road and observation and fields of fire to the east of the road. These would make good anti-tank or machine gun positions. Lateral ditches would prove obstacles to vehicle movement, but good concealed avenues of approach for infantry. And number 5, the northwest. Key feature is the secondary bridge across the ditches. Open fields provide excellent observation and long fields of fire. However, there is little cover or concealment here other than for infantry hiding in ditches. The bridges allow movement to the north off the main road. Key terrain are the buildings either side of the road, and decisive terrain is the road itself, as it is the only avenue of approach to Arnhem Bridge. I assess the enemy will seek to deny use of the road in order to delay 30 Corps from moving towards Arnhem Bridge, and they will bring strong forces to battle. The enemy's most likely course of action is to position their forces forward in the mill to the east and the 3-storey buildings to the west. The enemy will seek early engagement with the maximum of firepower and try to knock out the tanks. Without tank support, it will become an infantry battle that my understrength company cannot win. The enemy's most dangerous course of action is to hang back and engage at maximum range with anti-tank guns and machine guns. They would draw the tanks up the road and the infantry into the fields before opening fire, blocking the road and decimating the exposed troops in the open. After the infantry and tank losses in the tulip fields, my mixed force has culminated and does not have much combat power left. So, unless the enemy has nothing left in defence, this mission will be a probe to gain information, cause some losses, and retain a foothold in this area until reinforcements arrive tomorrow. As such, I need a withdrawal trigger. When will I break contact or seek a ceasefire? With 3 armoured vehicles, I decide that the loss of 2 vehicles will be my trigger. The first course of action is to evenly weight my forces on both sides of the road. The obvious disadvantage is that this approach would split my forces with limited ability to observe or fire or move from one side of the road to the other. This gives me an insight. The road splits the area in 2. As the Germans are in defence, they must be prepared for an attack on either or both flanks. So they will need to split their forces to cover both sides of the road. But I don't. I'm attacking and have the initiative. I can choose whether to place the weight of my attack on the left or the right. This means the majority of my forces will only face around half the enemy. So, the second course of action is to attack on the left flank. But the forming up point here is limited in size and forward movement is obstructed by the multiple east-west ditches. Also, the enemy has overwatch from the 3-storey building into my forming up point. So left flank is achievable, but not ideal. The third course of action is to attack on the right flank. There is plenty of room for the tanks to take position along the dirt road with long fields of fire across the polder and onto the road. And the 2-storey building provides the infantry with cover and concealment, as well as a defilade position for the mortar. In addition, the enemy's likely defensive positions are further away from each other, limiting their ability to provide mutual support. I assess they will place their strongest defensive forces on my left flank. Right flank it is. I will concentrate my forces on the right flank and economise my forces on the left flank. This concept is known as dislocation. In other words, getting the enemy to put the wrong forces in the wrong place at the wrong time. In this example, the enemy is only likely to put half their forces against all of mine. The rest of their forces will be in the wrong place. I will maintain observation on the left flank with a Piat team and the Daimler 4. To know when and where to concentrate and when and where to economise, in fact, how to distribute the force available, is a large part of the art of command and cannot be learned by any mere rules. I have now moved my troops into position and will execute the plan in real time. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the various courses of action and if you have identified a viable alternative. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more great strategy and tactics content. And so we begin. A Mark IV Panzer directly in front of the Achilles. The Sherman and the Achilles both react. Hit! The Mark IV is destroyed. The Achilles gets in first. Hit again! A second shot from the Sherman seals the deal. But the Achilles is under anti-tank team attack. Meanwhile, the enemy has 2 tanks on the left flank, west of the road. The dislocation tactic has worked perfectly. The Vickers opens up on a Fallschirmjäger Panzerschreck in the mill. The rifle section joins in, then the Bren, and the Achilles, and the Sherman. The Panzerschreck fires again, brave. German troops are exposed crossing the road, and a Panzerschreck in the open. Sturmgrenadier squad moving into the mill. And a reserve squad moving up to the wooden cottage in the open. The Sherman targets it. Jackson in the Achilles has been wounded and the Achilles immobilized in the open. The Sturmgrenadier squad and Panzerschreck in the mill make a tempting mortar target. Meanwhile, an enemy mortar kills Finley's Bren section from 2nd Platoon. Another anti-tank attack on the immobilized Achilles. The crew bail out. On the left flank, a Fallschirmjäger Schützen squad and 2 Mark IV Panzers. The right flank dislocation tactic has certainly paid dividends. In the 2-story building, the Bren section takes a casualty. Then the Vickers. Down to 1 member.
We're under heavy fire. We're under heavy fire.
The rifle section moves up to reinforce. For now, the mill remains the focus of my fire. The 3-inch mortar is receiving counter-battery fire from a German mortar.
Move completed. We're pinned down.
The enemy troops in the mill are taking casualties,
Under heavy
and the
fire.
remaining member of the reserve squad is retreating. But British troops in the 2-story building are pinned down.
We're pinned down. We're pinned down. We're pinned down.
The Piat in the wooden building pops up to take a shot at the Mark IV Panzer, but is targeted and becomes a casualty. To their front, a Schützen squad is closing in. Time for the Daimler to move.
Out of range.
An enemy sniper causes a casualty. It is located in the 3-story building. The Piat team is destroyed. The Mark IV Panzer climbs up the embankment to the road. The Sherman 76 targets it as it crests.
We're under heavy fire. Move completed.
And misses.
Eliminate fire.
Hit! The Mark IV Panzer is destroyed as it crests the road.
We're losing a lot of men.
2 enemy tanks so far. But the British are taking heavy casualties too.
We're under heavy fire. We're pinned down. Target eliminated.
The reserve squad is eliminated. A Fallschirmjäger Schützen squad is crawling across the road towards the mill.
Incoming!
And an MG42 squad is crawling up the road.
Heavy fire.
An enemy mortar round annihilates the Vickers squad and inflicts casualties in the mortar squad.
Back off. We're pinned down.
The Germans are pressing forward their attack from the mill. Remaining British forces are weak and just hanging on. Two Schützen squads in the attack. A second Mark IV Panzer crests the road. The Sherman targets it. The Panzer fires back and misses. Tense hand-to-hand fighting around the mill. This is the moment of decision. The German infantry surrenders. Hit! The Mark IV Panzer is destroyed, the third Mark IV Panzer in the battle. So far, this probe has yielded excellent results. We have confirmed likely German positions and that they deploy both sides of the road. We have knocked out 3 Mark IV Panzers for the loss of an abandoned Achilles, and blunted a German infantry assault from the mill. The Daimler fires at a Panzerschreck and misses. Oh no! The Daimler 4 is knocked out.
Hol mich hier raus!
At this point, I'm considering a ceasefire. The probe has been successful and I've knocked out 3 enemy tanks, but my withdrawal has been triggered with the loss of 2 vehicles, the abandoned Achilles and the knocked out Daimler. I have also lost the Vickers and more infantry, and the 3-inch mortar is out of ammo.
Take cover!
Time to request a ceasefire. The battle ended because both sides agreed to a ceasefire. The battle was a stalemate. The German forces took excessive losses. I made Allied progress of 35 against expected progress of 0 by the end of the day. The British suffered 15 KIA and the loss of the Daimler. This does not include the Achilles, which can be recovered overnight. The Germans suffered 29 KIA, 3 MIA and 3 Mark IV Panzers knocked out. 3 military crosses and a Distinguished Conduct Medal were awarded. I did not take any territory in the probe, but we will not encounter the Germans again here until tomorrow. Let's examine casualties on both sides. First, the British from 30 Corps. Again, heavy casualties in the Rifle Company. Sergeant Finley and Sergeant Levy were both killed. And the Piat team knocked out. Robin's Sherman accounted for 2 Mark IV Panzers. Trooper Bray is awarded the Military Cross, and Trooper Burris the Distinguished Conduct Medal. Disraeli's Achilles also knocked out a Mark IV Panzer, and Trooper Grand and Trooper Gray are both awarded the Military Cross. But the Vickers team were all killed. Then the Germans, from the 10th Panzer Division. A Fallschirmjäger Sturmgrenadier, an MG42, a Fallschirmjäger Schützensquad, a Schützensquad, a Fallschirmjäger Reserve Squad, a Reserve Squad, 2 Scharfschützen, 3 Mark IV Panzers, a Granatwerfer, and a Panzerschreck credited with the Daimler kill. So, what did we learn? This battle illustrated 2 key points. First, the value of dislocating the enemy. Dislocation means getting the enemy to put the wrong forces in the wrong place at the wrong time. In this battle, it meant concentrating my forces on the right flank and economizing my forces on the left flank. The Germans, in the defense, had to be strong on both flanks, and this required them to initially divide their forces across both flanks. My concentration of forces meant I was relatively stronger on the right. Although I was weaker overall, I could defeat them on the right flank and then deal with their attack from the left. Second, I learned from my disastrous counterattack at Arnhem West suburbs. Specifically, I learnt to quit while ahead. In this case, the probe was successful, learning the German deployment, blunting the German infantry attack, and knocking out 3 Mark IV Panzers. But, with my forces culminated and my withdrawal triggered, I resisted the temptation to continue the battle and instead accepted a ceasefire with no ground gained. This time, I did not waste my troops in a futile and poorly planned counterattack, but instead preserved their remaining strength for reinforcement and a deliberate attack tomorrow. Let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and donate, and stay tuned for the next episode.